Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's now time for our main event. Take a trip back in time to the golden era of the wrestling world with your host, Chris Tetrold Blade. Welcome to Once Upon a Turnbuckle.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Once Upon a Turnbuckle, and I've got another special guest, as you can see, with me in the studio today. Now, this guy, I think it's the first time that I've had an active wrestling champion on my show. So one half of the ICW Tag Team Champions, one half of the 9-9. And dare I say it, we'll get into this, but a BBC TV star as well. We will talk about it. Jack Morris, welcome to the show, mate.
Hello, thank you for having me on.
No problem, no worries. I didn't know how to start this. I think I'll start it in the more obvious way, which is really, it's how I discovered you in a sense. You came catapulting onto my radar because you appeared on a certain BBC Saturday night entertainment show recently, which is not something that I would have thought a guy like yourself would be on, really. But you were on the BBC's I Can See Your Voice, probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, I think.
Yeah.
But, let's talk about it. Let's get that one out of the way, shall we?
Okay.
Firstly, I guess the question that came across my mind when I first saw you is why?
Okay, good question. I got asked, I think it was back in July, someone from the casting for Thames TV messaged my Instagram asking if I was interested in doing a new TV show. In this message, they gave no clue to what it was. They didn't say the name of the show. Just said there was this new BBC One programme, are you interested? So I replied saying, I'm all ears. So the boy sent me his number, gave him a call, and he just came out with it. He said, it's where I can see your voice. Can you sing? And I was like, well, no, not really. And he was like, perfect, that's even better. And I'm thinking,
what have I got myself in for?
Yeah, what is this? And then from there, he just gave a description of what it was. He actually told me it's big. Apparently, it's big in Asia. It's big in Korea or something. After it started, he was like, "Watch his YouTube clips of the show in Korea, and you'll get a gist of what it is." And then from there, did a couple of Zoom calls with producers and stuff, and they wanted to have me down. And next thing I know, I'm down there, and I'm murdering Aerosmith. So,
well, I'll come on to a couple of specific questions, really just for me in a bit, because my wife and I, we don't normally fall for these Saturday night shows. Not saying it's below us or anything, it's just not really on our sort of remit. But we stumbled across this one when it began, and it just kind of grabbed our attention because it's a combination of a singing show like you'd expect from the X Factor, but with probably more people murdering songs on there than they are singing them well, which was really different. When I saw you, if anyone's not seen it, I looked it up before I came on. I think it's episode 6. I think it's still on the iPlayer, so you're still getting airtime.
There's actually just a clip on YouTube as well. The BBC have done it and just uploaded the single clip of it too. So, thanks.
If you want to watch the full episode, though, it is really, really entertaining. But your garb, what you wore on there, because obviously all the guys and girls that are on there doing the singing or not doing the singing, you're all dressed up as a reflection of your job, your profession. So obviously what you went on there wearing, I guess, is not your usual Is it a little bit exaggerated?
Yeah, that is not my wrestling attire. But I got to keep it.
Cool.
They asked for my measurements. I guess that's what the costume guy or male or female thought was what a wrestler looked like. Personally, I thought it looked like something out of The Greatest Showman, like a trapezist or something. But yeah, I had to match my tassels and stuff, so it was.
It's also, I mean, because this podcast really is. I have a love for 80s and 90s wrestling, so I mean that is old school what you were wearing there. So it's brilliant. That's what we call for the show, and you've got to come out wearing that at some point.
Yeah, I think there's a plan in action for that.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I got to keep it. So
that's awesome. I won't dwell on this because it's not really why we're here. Because I really want to hear more about you as a wrestler and you were growing up and all that kind of thing. But sort of one question that me and my wife do kind of bat around when we were watching this is, those of you who can't sing are meant to be the ones who can't sing. Are you told to really ham it up to make it sound awful, or was that actually your singing voice?
No, not at all. You're not at all.
Thank you. I got the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. Cool. But yeah, anyone that doesn't have a clue what we're on about is just tuned in. Check it out. I think it's still on the iPlayer. Jack is on there. I Can See Your Voice, episode 6. Again, not that I've researched it or remembered it off the top of my head. So let's get into the real stuff. So you are currently, I hope I got that right at the top of the show, you are you wrestle mainly for ICW at the moment?
Yeah,
yeah.
ICW.
Which is, I'm not a massive follower of people that see the show. I'm not a massive follower of the current product, but I know of ICW because it is probably one of the, I don't know, top sort of 3 or 4 promotions in Britain that gets talked about the most. So before we get into sort of how you got into there and everything, let's wind it right back to the beginning. So growing up, did you grow up a wrestling fan?
Yeah.
Or is it something? Yeah.
Loved it.
Cool.
I've got an older brother. He's 3 years older, and I think I started watching 5, 6 years old because he was watching it at 8 or 9, and just hooked. That time it was kind of 1999, 2000, and it was a bit edgy as well. I always think, because Mum and Dad used to let us stay up on a Sunday night, watch pay-per-views and stuff. And I look back now, I think they were pretty sound parents to let us do that, especially with school the next day. Like if we went to bed at 7 o'clock, they'd wake us up at 1, and then they'd let us watch it. So good parenting, top parenting. So credit to them. But just watched it since I was like 5, 6, and
cool.
Just kept.
So that's the end of the Attitude Era, really, that we're talking about. Sort of 99, 2000. So was it mainly WWE, WWF? Let's call it WWF because that's what it still exists in our mind that it was. Was it that, or was it a combination of WCW as well?
There was a brief. I've got a WCW story. There was a brief WCW bit. But it was mainly WWF. But I remember that like WCW were doing a pay-per-view and it was getting recorded, but for some reason we weren't allowed to stay up and watch it. We kept nagging my mum, and she was like, right, you can watch the first half an hour, but if there's any swearing in it, like you're going to bed, it's not getting recorded. And I think first promo out, I think Hulk Hogan.
Oh no!
And then it was straight to bed, and I thought, she's bluffing. Like it'll be recorded in the morning. No.
Oh no!
Wasn't recorded. I can't remember the episode. I can't remember the pay-per-view, but Hogan said something in the first promo segment. It was like
he didn't do that a lot. You were really unfortunate because he didn't seem to.
Yeah, I know.
I
watch it back now. Something like on the network, and there's hardly any. I don't know if they've cropped it, but
I don't think.
I just remember it so vividly. Like he swore, and it was like game over. It might have been something like ass or something, but like he said something. Mum was like, "Nah, you're fine."
That was enough.
Yeah.
But you could watch WWF, where at the time, I mean, you still had Steve Austin, I suppose, towards kind of getting towards the end of his best run there. But yeah, you had him doing, flipping fingers.
Yeah, Triple H and DX and stuck it and
that's it.
And
but Hulk Hogan ruined it basically for you. That's going to be the headline. So okay, that's a shame. Was there when you were growing up, what was the first kind of, if there was one, sort of angle or match or superstar that you saw that grabbed you and you were then hooked from that moment?
So first, it was probably Cactus Jack and Triple H storyline.
Mm-hmm.
The Royal Rumble, vaguely remember the Royal Rumble street fight match, but it was the Hell in a Cell, but it was etched in my brain. And when Cactus Jack loses, and you're I actually felt he's lost his job, I'm never going to see him again. I was devastated. So I think that was 2000, the way out 2000.
Yeah, believe it was.
That's the first okay, feeling it, oh God, never going to see him. And obviously WrestleMania and stuff, but
it was a great storyline. Yeah, I don't think they did it justice at WrestleMania. I think it was a bit convoluted in the main event where they had 4 of them in there. But that was I watched that. It's the promo leading up to that match I think I love most, where Cactus Jack is in the ring and he announces to Triple H when he's up on the ramp what match he wants. Yeah. And he says Hell in the Cell, and everybody knows by that point.
So good. Yeah. And then the match itself, watching it at 5, 6 years old, and he goes through the cell, and it's just and I hadn't seen the first the Mankind Undertaker.
The King of the Ring one. Yeah, I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, this was my first experience, so it was madness.
Brutal, really, for a first experience. Yeah, I mean, going back to my first one, Survivor Series 88 was the first event I saw. Again, shows the age gap already, unfortunately. Shows how old I am. But it was Demolition and Powers of Pain were the first big teams, the first big guys that I saw in that event. And I mean, that's etched in my brain because at that point, when I was 7 years old, seeing guys like that, it's like seeing superheroes, I suppose. But flip forward to the Attitude Era and that be your first experience. I mean, some of it's like watching a horror movie. So.
It's mad. I would go into school and try and talk to my friends about it, and they just would have no idea what I was.
Oh, really?
What's this boy eating for breakfast? He just dreamt this up.
I loved it back then because around that sort of mid-90s as well, there were very few of my friends who knew anything about wrestling or was even into it. Yeah. So you felt part of something quite unique. And I mean, it's exploded. It's gone through several periods of especially over in the UK, being absolutely in your face. Again, it's going through a little bit of that now. Again, we'll come more up to date in a moment. But from when you started watching it then, at what point did you decide you wanted to become, seriously wanted to pursue it for yourself as a career?
I was into all sports as well. I was always active. I was doing gymnastics. I was playing football. Was as young as I could, playing teams 5-a-side, 7-a-side, and then wrestling was just kind of something I watched. I didn't feel like it was a achievable thing, which kind of wasn't at the time. But I'd like to think there's so many outlets now that a 12-year-old me would be able to go and wrestle. But when I was 12, it would have been 2005. And it's just, when you think, I don't really know what British wrestling scene was like in 2005. Probably not like it is now.
Wasn't much of one. I mean, I don't know 2005, but thinking back when I was sort of late 90s, early 2000s, so I always wanted to, I toyed with the idea of getting into it myself. Yeah. And I think the biggest promotion that I could find that had any kind of training academy or anything was NWA Hammerlock.
Yeah.
I don't really know what happened to them, but that was, anything, it had to be affiliated with the NWA really to know that it was legit. But yeah, you're right, there is so many more sort of nowadays.
Because you hear, obviously Drew McIntyre now, you hear about how he travelled down to England, there was nobody really up in Scotland, and he taught the boys in Scotland when he come back up from training in England. So at 2005 and at 12 years old, I didn't see. I'd watched it, but I didn't think like I can do that. So I just played football, and that was kind of me playing football till I was 20, 21. I still watch wrestling, but yeah, football was the priority till 21. And then when I stopped playing football, it was kind of this like, it was just now or never. It's cheesy, but it was just now or never. If I want to wrestle, then I'm like, I'll try now. I think around that time as well, the first UK NXT tournament was announced as well.
Yeah.
So like it was all over the place, and all these schools were available now. 21 years old for me, so yeah, it was just I'm gonna now or never. I'm gonna try it. If I'm any good, great. If I'm not, then at least I've been at wrestling. I mean, that's cool. So yeah.
So where did you go then to like for your first training and that? So where did you have to go to find that?
So I went to. I think everyone has one of these stories. I went to a training school. I'm in Dunfermline. I don't know if you know that. It's just above Edinburgh. And I went to about an hour away from Dunfermline up north, and it just wasn't. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. I didn't really do my research, but I went up there and got my first experience in the ring. But very early on, I felt like there wasn't too much progression. So I reached out to a couple of other schools, and I headed over to Reckless Intent in Livingston, where I still train to the day. And they kind of gave me my first experience on shows and whatnot. So yeah, it was Reckless Intent in Livingston is where I kind of got that moment.
First taste. So you hear stories back in the day. I've spoken to some guys from really kind of the old school era, and you hear stories about them when they started off. They were carrying bags around, they were putting the ring together, things like that. Did you go through that transition, having to do work like that around the promotions as well as
So again, like setting up the ring for shows, not being on the shows, but you got to arrive early, load up the van gets to the venue, take everything out, set the ring up, watch the show. Maybe you're doing like helping people to their seats and whatnot. Take the ring down, back in the van, like 12, 13, 14-hour days, and you're not wrestling, but you're watching. You're getting experience. You're getting to talk to the boys. You're getting to watch their matches. You're getting to ask questions. So it's valuable. And still to this day, like I'm still kind of doing that, even if I'm not booked on shows. Sometimes Reckless Intent, again, company in Livingston, they hire out a ring to promotions, and they still need people to help with the ring. So if it's driving the van or just an extra hand, and I'm free, I'll probably be there. So
cool. No, it's nice to hear that sort of, again, the old school experience is still there. You're still making your way into it, like the guys did all that time ago. It hasn't changed. It's even though there's all these avenues now, you're not shortcutted through it almost. No. Can you remember then? Obviously, you go through your training and everything like that. Can you remember your first match?
My first match, I did actually wrestle for the company up north that I went to. First match was, it actually went okay. I was in the ring with a guy with a bit more experience than me, and obviously helped me through it. But the main thing from that one was I wasn't meant to be booked on the show, and my car was in the garage, and my stuff was in the car that was in the garage, and the garage was closed for the weekend or the Saturday, and got told I was going to be on the show about 2:00, and the garage shut at 1. So I had no gear, so I had to borrow everything. I think I went to like Sports Direct and bought just run construction tights, borrowed people's boots and knee pads, because I wanted to be on the show. That's what I had to do. But I was just so like last minute. Oh, you're going to be on the show, and I was like, great. Well, I didn't anticipate this, and my stuff's in the garage. So that's some of the stories. And I would have went out and wrestled, and I don't know.
Well, you got a spare costume now if it happens again. So
exactly.
just keep that one. So
yeah. So, but,
cool.
Yeah.
So the videos I've watched a few of the videos sort of up on. There's quite a bit of content that you've got sort of floating around up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And are you? I've seen you mainly wrestle as a heel. Is that really what you've done for most of your career? Is that what you're most comfortable with?
I feel like it's easier to make people boo you because you just go out and be unlikable, and it's easy to go like to a wee kid like, oh, you're whatever. Like, it's just easier to make people hate you than like people like you. So the heel aspect, that's a good thing from it. You don't have to. You just go and be an idiot. Whereas I feel like it's harder if you're good for people to like you and get behind you. But when my first few matches, I was a good guy because just my inexperience. Then like the bad guy kind of like run me through the match and then get my comeback and shine and whatnot. But yeah, I usually play a heel most of the time.
It's probably more enjoyable, is it? Being a. I often think, because I'm very much one when I watch films and that there are a few where I'm rooting for the villain. I know he's not going to win, but he's just got that edge, isn't they?
Yeah, I feel like it is more fun as well. Like, especially family friendly shows, you can be a bit more over the top, a bit more pantomime. I just recently did a show with Mega Slam, which is very family friendly, and unfortunately I'm carrying a bit of an injury at the moment. But I was playing like a manager role, and I just got to be over the top, and like the kids were hating me, and like when I got my comeuppance at the end, and then they were like, "Yeah, and it's just so good playing the clown." Like,
it's those moments, isn't it, that they go away with, because not only have they seen someone they were cheering win, but they'll remember the bad guy got it, or whatever. Yeah. Secretly, I think that's what we grow up with, and we're kind of like, because as I've got older, you bring up the manager role. I used to hate heel managers; they were just an annoyance. But then I've come to really respect people like Bobby Heenan, Paul Heyman, because what they've done is they're really working the match from the outside a lot of the time.
That's like I go back and like I watch a lot of the older stuff now instead of the stuff like the modern stuff. I still keep up to date with the product, obviously, but like on the network is so good just for going back and looking, like you say, like Heenan, Heyman, Cornette, like Paul Bearer and stuff, like Jimmy Hart, like the manager role is just so important, and like you get such a good reaction. It just helps the story so much. Like, and the crowd reaction is ridiculous when they get like when the payoff comes.
You've got to be a great talker. You don't have to be. I mean, there's some managers out there that really, they get quite physical and win people over that way. But I think if you're the mouthpiece and you're good at that, like you say, Cornette, along with Heenan and that. It's one thing I've never really delved in with the guys I've spoken to is sort of the promo aspect of it. How much do you have to sort of train or learn that art, or is that something as well that comes quite naturally to yourself?
I don't want to say it came naturally. A lot of the physical stuff, like in-ring stuff, that came very natural. Like, I don't want to be like cocky and big-headed, but like I'm coming from, because I always played sport and football, like I was already naturally athletic. I could run the ropes, I could bump, I could do whatever. The promo side of things took a wee bit of getting used to, and just practice. I'd still say it was one of my weaker side of things, but again, the more experience, the more I do it, like the easier it's becoming. And I do watch a lot of, like when I'm watching shows on the network and stuff, I don't just watch matches. Like I look for the promos prior to the match, whatnot. A lot of the Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, NWA stuff, but something that like
can't beat that.
YouTube and stuff, and WCW stuff and whatnot. Like, it's just so good, and also just surrounding. Like, I'm been quite fortunate that, again, Rex and Livingston going back where I first like got consistent matches. they were booking guys who were top in the country, like I'm not kissing his arse, but like divers, Dickie Divers, and BT, and your Mikey Whiplashes and Joe Coffeys and stuff, and seeing them cut promos, like bigging up the shows, like hyping the shows, and then doing it in the ring, and then getting to watch them work, like just I got. Like there's so much content, so much wrestling. Like you can watch everything and just learn. Like I got told once by someone, just constantly watch wrestling. Just have it on, even if you're not like paying attention to it. Just have something on in the background, and you'll
absolutely.
I mean? So
absolutely. I could relate to that. I'm not, and I'm not active in any kind of scope. But when I was growing up, what I remember most is I was in my bedroom. I was playing with my action figures, and I had an event going on, and I had probably most hours of the day that I was awake, I had wrestling on the background. So I was listening probably more than I was watching. It's the commentary and the promos that really stuck with me. In terms of sort of your persona as such, you haven't got you obviously username Jack Morris, you've not got an over elaborate, star name or anything like that. Is there sort of how you are, your character as it is there someone in particular that you've drawn inspiration from? Because I must admit, you did remind me of a couple of people in particular who I won't divulge yet, because I want to see.
Is it in ring or just like personality, or just
a bit of both? But I guess from what I saw, it was more sort of your in ring kind of your style, and also your sort of swagger, I suppose, as well. Is anyone in particular?
But modern day stuff, I'd probably say like Dolph Ziggler. There you go. Billy Gunn.
That's it. That's the two. Yeah, brilliant. That's all right. Yeah.
So my favorite thing's selling. Like I love to sell. Like I take a beating, like rather than get my moves and stuff. Like I feel it's one of my strong points as well. Whether it's like, I don't know, making my opponent look good. I feel like that's one thing. Like, and from in ring point of view, like Dolph Ziggler, Billy Gunn, Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude, just kind of over the top, but being over the top when it matters.
Exactly. It keeps it looking, if I can say it, believable.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's over the top, but you can imagine. I think I always look at it as Bret Hart always took the best turnbuckle bump.
Yeah, I'm watching a lot of Bret Hart stuff just now, because I think he's the greatest ever, just for making everything mean something.
Yeah.
Everything. Like bumps, like taking buckles, like selling, just ridiculous.
It's just, you believed it, and you kind of, I've said this a bunch of times, people are probably sick of me saying it, but he was one of the ones that I did fear for in the ring, because he's always been one of my favourites, but he was so, it's like, he may actually be hurt now, because he's making it look so good. Some great names there to sort of draw inspiration from. And let's say definitely in your style, definitely saw Billy Gunn and Dolph Ziggler, which is good, because they're memorable. As well. It's a memorable style, and it's not one that you would expect to be replicated, I suppose, in a sense. So that's cool. So bringing it a little bit more sort of up to date, talk about, because I guess ICW, even though you're probably sort of mainly with them, you still wrestling for other promotions up there in and around that, or you would be?
So obviously, with the last year, the world's been it's been mad. But fortunately, ICW, they've had the opportunity to still put out content, still put out shows, which is credit to them. They've had there's a lot of like protocols and stuff for COVID wise, but we've still been doing tapings. So fortunately, I've not been one of the people who has not wrestled for 12, 13 months. ICW is kind of the only thing I've had going on for the last year and a bit, with the taping. But up here, kind of everywhere again. mentioned him loads of times. Reckless Intent Livingston, also Scottish Wrestling Alliance. We kind of run family-friendly shows in and around the Glasgow area, and kind of up north as well sometimes. Discovery Wrestling Edinburgh, another big company. Just kind of wrestle for most places up here. Waiting for shows to get back. So
what's it like? Because I guess the ICW ones, are they without a crowd at the moment? Is that just
yeah?
So what is that? What's that like?
Just very, very, very strange. The first time was very. Now I think I'm quite used to it because there has been like a lot of occasions we've been in now. But like the first time you come out of the curtain and it's obviously silence, and you can hear everything. Like you can hear a pin drop. When you're both selling down, like again silence. You hear the cameraman's footsteps, and it's difficult to. Like it's great being back wrestling, like it's exciting, but with there not being a crowd there, your adrenaline levels just aren't as high. So I think you have to try harder to like, I don't know, get yourself more across like how you would. Like again, adrenaline levels like boost everything. You come out of the curtain flying. The bumps don't hurt as much. You can jump a wee bit higher with a crowd. Like you're playing off the crowd. The crowd's the main thing at the end of the day.
I was going to say, is it you finding it more difficult, and have you found your style or how you've been in the ring has been affected by that, or have you carried on the problem?
A little bit, especially as a heel, like because you're trying to get the crowd to hate you, but there's no crowd.
Feed off that.
So like I'm trying to direct it towards the camera then instead, and look down the lens and make a facial expression or do a point to the head or whatnot. And the same can be said for like a baby face, like looking into the camera with desperation and whatnot. It's difficult, but like I did my first show back with a crowd Friday, and it was just so surreal. It was great, but with no crowd, it is very.
Do you find yourself doing something in the ring where ordinarily you would then look to the crowd and sort of act towards them for a reaction? You find you're still doing that?
Like just showing out and just the entrances and like going up on the top rope to do it. Like what's just nobody there. You're looking out to know, like it's just weird, but I kind of got used to it. But the main thing is just not being as like hyped up. Strange. It's strange.
Let's get those crowds back in there, shall we? Let's get this madness over with, and we'll get back out there. Can you imagine the first match you have? Can you imagine the first match you have back with a crowd?
And the ICW one will be mad. I think everywhere I can see, like, I just think hopefully everyone will just all rush out and places will sell out and it'll be max capacity of whatever you can, COVID depending on guidelines and whatnot. But I think everywhere will just be, people will be wanting to hopefully rejuvenate everything and crowds will be better than before.
I'm sure it will, because there's not a lot that floats by my door, unfortunately, down this way at the minute, wrestling wise. But I know a lot of fans I talk to, they're just sat there just waiting for it, desperate to get back out there and be in that environment again. So it'll be mad.
I know, exciting.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too long. This time last year, it was only going to be, it'll be a couple of months now.
I know. Yeah, with everything. I mean, we've had shows that we were meant to go to, gigs and everything that have just been rolled on 3 or 4 times now, and you kind of like every time they do, you're like, is it actually going to happen now?
But hopefully everything, like you said, like gigs and football matches and sporting events, like everyone, I think everyone will just to all these things, and it'll be great.
So, what would you put at the moment as the sort of the pinnacle of your career so far? The one moment that has sort of defined you, or it made you feel like it's been the most rewarding so far?
There's a few. I got to go over. I've wrestled in Germany a couple of times. One of which was pretty early on. I think it was my 7th match I wrestled in Germany, and that was kind of. I wasn't ready at all. Like, I was not ready at all. But somebody who was doing a show over here got me over, and it was just crazy. The match was actually okay, but it could have been better if I was more experienced. But, that was mad. And then I've just had just mad. I think there's just several steps along the way that have been crazy. First time in Germany, getting to ICW. I think I'd only been training for a year, and I used to go to ICW shows, and to be on the other side of the barrier was really cool. I got to wrestle Doug Williams.
Wow!
After 6 months of training.
That's insane. He is a legend.
Oh, like, ridiculous. I used to watch TNA at the time when he was in it, and again, it's one of these. Like, now I wish I could wrestle him again because I've got so much more experience. But doing it after 6 months, like, I was so appreciative. But now I'm like, God, I could give him such a better match.
Yeah.
But like, that was crazy. Again, a couple of other ICW moments. Just Shug's house party, one of their big events, was in a TLC match, and it just went really well, and the crowd reacted to stuff, and it was. I remember finishing that match and like just feeling good about it. Like, usually I'm quite like, not a lot of matches I've done that I think, oh, it was really good. Like, I always find something.
You're quite critical of yourself.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But that one, I remember like lying on the mat after, looking up, thinking that was pretty good. So I was pleased with that one. And then winning the ICW Tag Championships as well, with divers. Championships. There's a few championships that I think, like, depending on the promotion stuff, like, sometimes I feel like it's more of like a prop. But with your ICWs, because it's a top independent promotion, like, there's not a few like going about, but I feel like when you're a champion with one of these promotions, like, it means a bit more because you have so many eyes on it, and it is quite an honor to get to hold that championship. You know?
Yeah,
that's not me knocking other ones, but it's just
some ones that are held in quite esteem through the industry. Yeah, especially over here. I mean, there's a very famous moment in ICW. I guess it's one that it's one of the first ones I saw that sort of was anything to do with ICW, was Triple H turning up at one of the shows.
Yeah.
So knowing there's that interest there, and obviously, you know, NXT UK being what it is that a natural goal of yours to one day get to there, or do you see yourself taking another route?
No, I think that is the goal. WWE. I actually said at the start, but I want to make a living off it. So whether that's be doing independence all the time and making my money that way, or getting signed by a big promotion, WWE, AEW, like, there's so many opportunities now, more than ever, I feel, and it's reachable. So I just want to make a living out of wrestling. I want it to be my full-time job. I want to earn enough money to do it and not have to worry about working.
It's that dream in there of doing something you love for them when it doesn't feel like it's a job. Again, cliche, but yeah, no, I totally get that. Is there sort of talking about dream matches then for a second? I suppose I like to do a little bit of fancy booking on there.
Yeah.
If you take the guys that are in sort of the British wrestling scene at the minute, whether they be independent or in NXT, wherever, is there one guy aside from Doug Williams that you really you're yet to get in a ring with, that you really want to one day be able to wrestle?
From a tag team point of view, Kings of the North. I think I've seen them a lot. They've been in ICW and Discovery Wrestling a lot. Never wrestled them before. Again, we're a tag team held in really high regard, and we're not yet signed anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably independent-wise. Tag team, again, NXT UK, I'd love to, me and Divers, any tag team, really. We've got so many good ones.
Yeah.
Deadly, even the Gallus boys. I've never had the opportunity to wrestle Joe, Mark, or Wolfie, even in singles matches up here. So tag team wise or singles matches, any one of them, and probably Rampage Brown as well. Again, never got to wrestle him, so he's a legend, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
that's a unique sort of set of people, really. Because I think when I've asked this question before, especially with other fans as well, what matches would you like? Obviously, it goes for the big names and that. If you could let's imagine the pinnacle of your career. You get a match at WrestleMania, and you can pick anyone you want from any era as well. If you could have one match that you would like to be remembered for, I know it's a bit of a broad question, but is there someone who you would like to share that moment with?
Probably as... Can I have two?
Come on, why not? Make it a triple threat. Why not?
I've actually got asked this question before, just by my mate the other week, which is random. As a face, I'd love to wrestle heel Triple H, like 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
He was... I still think, doesn't get enough credit.
One of the more forgotten, for me anyway, one of the more forgotten periods of his career, because I was never the biggest fan of him, and I thought he did sort of hold the limelight a bit too long towards that period. But again, it was still gold back then, wasn't it? Yeah,
looking back, the Cactus Jack stuff, earlier, and Stone Cold stuff, and The Rock, and just so good, good, his promos and whatnot. And then as a heel, I'm not sure. Anyone, Brett probably. Chuck Brett, he made me look so good.
Yeah, you want someone like that, didn't you? You don't want someone who's
a Brett or a Sean who would sell their ass off and make you look like the big bad guy.
Yeah,
easy. That was easy.
There we go. Ideal. Yeah, Brett and Sean, my favourite match of all time is the Iron Man match for WrestleMania 12. So, if they could rerun that again, any match of that quality, I would be there. I don't think anything's really come in and touched it. So cool. Well, no, thank you so much so far for your time. It's been so good to talk to you and sort of learn a lot more about you. Like I say, from that one moment I saw you on that Saturday night, I knew I had to talk to you. My wife actually afterwards, she says, "You want to get this guy on your show?" And I was like, didn't think I would actually. So thank you so much for.
I'm not booked.
Listen, I'll give you a little bit at the end here to kind of just, as if you've not talked about yourself already. If people now want to follow you and follow what you're doing, or you got any events coming up, or where can they keep up with you on social media? Fire away.
Yes. So on social media, my Instagram and Twitter handle are the same. So it's Jack Morris X17. Has nothing to do with liking WrestleMania 17.
I'm sure.
It's awesome. And on Facebook, it's Jack Morris Wrestling. And shows coming up. I think got a few in Mega Slam coming up, which is down. And I'm not sure locations. They're all over England. And then I'm making my PCW debut soon. They've got a bunch of shows out. August, September. I think a couple of shows each month up to December. Mega Slam and PCW are where I'll be at for the rest of the year so far, and then see what else pops up. With shows, hopefully that's the end of this madness, and show me back and normality returns.
Yeah, just out of interest, actually, I see I'll edit this out if it's wrong. ICW, is that one of the promotions that have got something going on the network
Yes.
now? Yeah, so have you got any of your stuff on there?
Yeah, plenty. There's ICW Tag Championship win. They did a special show, ICW Bar, which was all cage matches. I just gave a spoiler away on what happens, but yeah, that's what ICW has been able to do with these tapings. So for content for the network, and
what's that like? Knowing then, you've not been in a WWE ring or anything yet, but you've got your content up there for millions to see.
It's pretty mad. It's pretty mad. Like I for one of the shows, I was the wee thumbnail for it.
Oh wow! Okay.
I think beside me I had like Drew, and then I had Austin, and I was like, what is going on here? This is incredible.
Did you take a screenshot of that?
Oh, 100%. I think post it on Instagram. I was putting my story, like sent to my mates who aren't even, my mates aren't even interested in wrestling. They're like, cool, and I'm like,
now.
But you can also search Jack Morris in the search bar, but it'll not come up me. It'll come up Jack Swagger versus John Morrison. So
one day, you're there. That's this is it's just one of those things. If anything, if anyone's watching this, who is particularly in the UK, who has any aspirations of making it or being able to start off, or has any doubts or anything, you've probably given them inspiration during the last 45 minutes that it can be done. And there are
easy.
There are a lot more avenues. Even I can see that now than there were sort of easily 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. That doesn't make it any easier, I'm sure, but the opportunities.
Well, like I said, there's so many training schools about. Do your research, find a reputable one. It's not a knock on any other, on other training schools, but it depends how far you want to take it. If you're quite happy just picking up a show once a month because you've got other things on, then great. But I see this as not just like a hobby and a passion, but I want to make a career out of it. So I think if that's the case, you need to do more than just a couple of training sessions a week and wrestle once a month. So
at least there's the avenue in. So
that's it.
No, thank you again, Jack Morris. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Okay, thanks,
good luck with everything you've got coming up. I'll definitely be keeping eyes on you, and you keep hold of those belts for as long as you can.
I shall.
Cool. Thank you, mate.
Right, no worries. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, share, and hit the subscribe button. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Once Upon a Turnbuckle to keep updated about all future shows.